Welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Dutta. Welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. We're here again. I want to say thank you to all of you for hopping on with us live. We're live streaming on X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Rumble, and it's going to be an incredible show today. Also want to thank you for subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed to the show on YouTube, give us a like. That helps the algorithm share more of the show. The show's become so popular that we're booked out right through till November, almost the end of the year, and we have a great lineup ahead. So more to come. I'm just going to organize my papers here on my desk, and a guest is in the green room, and I can tell you that I was inspired by him. You're going to be inspired by him, but I want to set this up and tell you a bit about Kern Carter. Kern represents a new generation of literary voices who refuse to be confined by traditional boundaries. As a Toronto-based novelist, he's carved out a distinctive niche exploring the explosive dynamics of family and friendship through works like And Then There Was Us, this fantastic book that I actually have here, and Boys and Girls Screaming, other titles that immediately signal his willingness to tackle uncomfortable emotional territories. What I like to do now is set up what I call the hook. So I just we're live, so we'll be editing these little transitions out. So let me just get us ready, everybody, and here we go. What if the stories that break us are actually the ones that make us? I'm thinking about something that happened to author Kern Carter. Here's a guy who wrote a book about a teenage girl named Coy, who survived years of physical and verbal abuse from her mother. Then had to figure out how to forgive the same mom after she died. But here's what's interesting. While Kern is writing about some of the most painful human experiences, like family trauma, abuse, grief, he's actually creating something that heals people. Think about it. And Then There Was Us. It has a 4.7 star average rating on Amazon. That's awesome. Readers are calling it a masterpiece, and parents are buying it for their teenagers. Adults are finding their own healing in a young adult novel, and I have read it cover to cover myself. It's like he took all the broken pieces from the hardest human experiences and built them into something that actually helps people put their own pieces back together. And that's what caught my attention about Kern himself. He's not just an author and a great guy. He's co-author of the Cry Creative, CRY. And he told me his story could inspire our audience with things like practical strategies for creating success. This isn't theory, everybody. It's not romantic notions about the tortured artist. It's practical strategies. See, there's this myth that meaningful creative work has to come from a place of perpetual struggle, that you either suffer for your art or it doesn't matter. But what if that's completely wrong? What if the same courage that helps you write honestly about abuse and forgiveness is exactly the courage you need to build a sustainable creative career? Kern Carter is about to show us how that works, how vulnerability becomes strength, how facing the hardest truths help you create work that actually changes lives. Stay with us. The conversation is going to change how you think about creativity, trauma, and stories that have the power to heal both writers and readers. Welcome to the virtual stage, Kern Carter. Hey, Kern, welcome.
Hey. Thank you for that intro. I like it.
I was just going to ask you that question. How is it like sitting back and hearing about you?
It's always odd. I don't think I'll ever get used to that, but I do appreciate it though. I think hearing about the impact of the work for me feels more gratifying than anything else.
Yeah, fantastic. Now let's give the audience some context where we are. I'm over here, the West Coast, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. You're over where?
In Toronto, east side, other side of the country.
The other guys way over there. The guys who sometimes look at us and say, not those guys.
And y'all look at us and say the same thing, right?
What's your original roots? I know that, were you born here? Were you born somewhere else? Came here?
I was born in Trinidad, actually. I came up here when I was 6 years old or so. Yeah,
Wow.
so originally from the island of Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, that's very awesome. A lovely place. And I think you're somewhere special today. You're in a sort of a makeshift studio. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm actually at my mom's house. I said I'm gonna I want to kind of this when I first started writing, and then there was us.
Yeah.
I was writing it over the pandemic, and I had decided my mom lives on her own, and I decided to move back with her so she wasn't alone. And I told her, I'm giving you 1 year, so you have some company, and then we're gonna get you like active. I got her into like community centers, so it worked out. But I started writing, and then there was us right here, right where you see me right now, is where I first started writing this novel. So it is a little fortuitous to be back here right now.
That is very cool. Why don't you hold up the book and
yeah, let's see it. Oh, I put it right in front of me. I put it right in front of me. Here we go.
Just read out the title again.
And then there was us, my little baby right here.
Yeah, that's your little baby. I'm going to put something else up on the screen here just as we were getting rolling before we start the dialogue. A couple other books here. Just tell us the titles on those. Read them out.
Yeah,
and,
we got Is There a Boy Like Me, which is the one. It's my only middle grade book. It's a book I wrote for Scholastic. I was a little nervous about it, but it's like been nominated for like 4 or 5 awards, and it's sold like so many copies. I'm so happy about it. And then Boys and Girls Screaming is my first published novel, which I absolutely love. It's probably my favorite book out of all the books I've written, for like a very personal reason. But yeah, those are the titles you're seeing right there.
That's cool. Let's get into Plato's Garden. You ready to have some fun talking in Plato's Garden?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Let me set this up. All right, Kern, welcome to Plato's Garden and to the audience as well. Plato was an Athenian philosopher during the classical period in ancient Greece and founder of the Platonist school of thought and the academy, from the word academia, the first institution apparently in the Western world for learning. What's interesting is they would basically walk and talk and share knowledge and insights. What we're going to do today with you, Kern, is we're going to do something not just asking you questions, but we're going to weave stories through what's called the influences of context of your work. So make it simple for you. You won't know this, but we're going to go into 3 areas. One is macro. So what was happening in the world around Kern that influenced your public work? And this could go right back to childhood, whatever. 2, mezzo. What was happening in your industry or sector where you do your work? You're an author and you're going to tell us more. I think you teach as well. And that would influence your work through that. And the third one, my favorite, is micro. The man, Kern. What was happening in your personal life that influenced your public work? So let's take that off the screen, and I'm just going to set the stage and get us started here. Okay. So we'll get into micro first. Setting the scene, I'll say this. What's that moment when you first realize that some of the most painful experiences can become the most powerful stories?
After I self-published my first novel, that did it for me, and I'll actually take it back a little bit further. When I was a teenage parent, so I had my daughter when I was still very young, still a teenager, and the isolation that I felt, the way that I felt, like kind of because my family was really upset about it at first, so just feeling very alone and abandoned a little bit, and that was very difficult for me because I come from a huge family. I told you I was born in Trinidad. So I was born into a house with like my aunts and my uncles and my grandparents and my 2 brothers.
I was going to ask you what's huge.
Yeah, no, everybody lived in my grandfather built a house. So we had a huge house and everybody lived together. We had 2 apartments downstairs, the full house upstairs. So we had I had an amazing childhood. So to feel alone like that, especially from family, was actually really difficult for me. But I used that feeling of being a teenage parent and feeling alone and feeling frustrated and feeling like I'm not going anywhere with my life. And I turned it into my first novel, which is called Thoughts of a Fractured Soul. So I knew right away, like first of all, the impact it could have on me, because just being able to tell that story, even though it was fiction, right? Like I fictionalized the story, even though
Yeah.
it was fiction, there was still a lot of me kind of working through things at the very early stages within that. And then when I had my first response from a reader, one of my readers emailed me and said, me and my mother just finished having the deepest conversation about your book on our kitchen table. And I was just like, that. And they wrote more, but that alone, I was like, wow, you know, like I really felt
A
good
little
about
applause for you.
that.
That really is a deep moment. I want to riff with you because we're storytelling here in Plato's Garden. That, first of all, your courage. I admire your vulnerability. And I've just finished my doctoral degree. I'm waiting to be examined for it. And one of the things I dug into is uncovering identity in a complex world. And this thing about vulnerability, sharing part of ourself that we generally people don't see, is a gift. So thanks for doing that. I will plug again and hold it up, the book. So everyone, I've read the book from cover to cover. I was so blessed to get it from you, man. And I'm just going to read something off a page of research I did here, and then we'll get into the next thing, story part. I call this the. Let me just tell you what I wrote. Kern Carter's debut novel is a masterful exploration of trauma healing and the complex nature of family love that transcends typical young adult fiction boundaries. And so I came up with this as a narrative structure. You can tear it apart, tell me if I'm wrong, correct me. So here we go. The narrative structure, the novel unfolds across 3 distinct time periods. I think it was February, the accident, May, processing, and July, August, healing, showing how trauma disrupts linear time. Carter employs a sophisticated dual reality structure where character Coy processes her relationship with her mother through lucid dreams, creating space for conversations that were impossible in life. So here's the next question to throw out the riff on. Coy starts counting days from when her mother first left her. What made you, Kern, realize that trauma creates its own character?
Oh, wow.
You thought you get off easy questions, not today.
Wow. That was a good, I don't think I've ever heard that one before. But makes me think that trauma creates its own character, because it's trauma is actually alive, you know, it's a living thing, because it invades you, you know, and not only does it invade you, it invades your life, and it invades whoever you're around and close to. It's a real thing, and it's also a real thing because it grows and changes or shrinks depending on how you behave, right? So it's actually interacting with you. So
Wow.
this is like, trauma is absolutely real, and that's not like, at the beginning you said this is not like theory, the way I talk about writing. That what I just said, that's not just theory, that's real. Like I've been through it, so I could tell you, and probably a lot of your audience has as well in their own way. But I could certainly tell you that my the my traumas, a lot of them have stayed with me, and until I figured out how to actually battle them and deal with them
Yeah.
and shrink them or get them out of my life, they're with me. I'm fighting them. I'm they're very present in my life. So it's a real thing. It's a living being that is insidious, that you need to figure out. And again, you could live with it. People live with negative things all the time. You could live with it, but if you're living with it, you're living with it. You're living with that thing inside of you, not even beside you, inside of you, that you have to that you have to deal with and manage every day. So for me, I rather figure out ways that I could not have to deal with, not have to live with that, or live, at least if I'm living with it, find a different way to manage it and live better with it. So it's a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you're speaking, I know you know this, but when you're speaking, I hear you. I see you behind the mask that you tend to wear in public, where sometimes people just don't know that trauma that's in you. And you're speaking to, I'm sure, millions of people around the world. When you told that story that you had a child and you were 17, I think, and the one line, the family was angry. Man, you just unlocked millions of eyeballs and minds, because we want to hear other people who are like us. Sometimes that frees us to know if he can get through it, You were 17. You can go into as much personal detail as you'd like. I'm not going to ask you to reveal everything. But when you had your child, was it in here? It was here or in Trinidad?
No, it was here. I was 18, so it
18.
was here. Yeah. I became a father at 18. But yeah, it was totally here. It was in Toronto. Like I've been in Toronto. I've been back to Trinidad a couple of times, but I haven't.
Yeah.
Like I'm here, you know. So yeah, it happened
And
while I was
and
in high
is
school.
a boy or girl?
A little girl still here. No, well, a little girl still. She ain't little no more. But yeah, I had a
How
girl.
old would she be? How old would she be now?
She is 23 now.
Wow.
My
You know,
only child still.
that's very cool. You just blessed me because my daughter just turned 23.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Nice.
she finished university. Is her name Coy or did you
No,
just?
no, that was made up. Her name is Christasia.
Okay, well, we'll dedicate this show, of course, to the other lady in your life, and I'm assuming mom's not around or engaged in the relationship,
No, no, not at all.
and so that's where I really honored this story because, my father left home when I was 12, so it's a very different
Mm,
story. He was a fairly chronic alcoholic, but I started researching later in life through the doctorate and through my understanding of brain science or neuroscience that when a child's not nurtured, for boys, abandonment is significantly a big deal. For
mm,
girls, it's sexual abuse as well, right up there. But the part of the brain that learns how to have relationships with others, learns to think in a calm way, it can underdevelop. And these traumas sit deep in the amygdala and the hippocampus, the area of the brain. So it's interesting because when I was reading your book, there was part of my life that kind of came out through your
mm.
book and it was really helpful to me. Let's get back into Plato's The Micro. The dreams where Coy talks to her mother after death, were those scenes emotionally difficult to write or healing to explore?
No, difficult. The entire book was it's actually a little bit difficult to explain because part of it just flew out of me. Like it was easy to write from one
Yeah,
perspective. Like I knew the exact words that I wanted to say, which doesn't always happen for me. You know, I labor a lot with my writing, but this one came up fairly easily. What was difficult was actually dealing with the stories. You know, that was it was really it felt really flagrant kind of telling some of these stories. It felt really personal. And some of the and to be clear, not all of the stories are true.
yeah.
There's some there's this is a fiction a book of fiction that was inspired by real life. So not all of the stories are true. Obviously, not the whole thing is true for sure. But um the this is based on things that really happened, so it was like it was really complicated trying to put those into a character who resembled my daughter so much, you know. So
Yeah.
it was again, from one perspective, it flowed out of me fairly easily, but it was actually really difficult to actually write the words, you know.
Interesting. To all those wannabe writers out there, and I'm a published author as well, so I have my own advice. But what's your advice to people who are afraid to write and they just want to get started and put things down? Do you literally sit at a computer and type, or do you write in paper? How do you get your thoughts out?
I type it, but I like to know. I For me personally, I like to have an idea of what I'm going to write ahead of time. So I take a lot of time before I start writing like an actual novel, just in thought and
Hmm.
thinking about my characters and jotting down notes about my characters and the story. And when I feel like in my mind, I'm like, I understand the motivation of these characters, even if I don't even know the plot, because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
more times than not, I don't know my plot. But as long as I understand, like, here's the motivation of this character, here's the emotion that I want to make this character flow through for the entire novel. Once I get that down, then I feel comfortable starting to tell the story. So for me, I tell people all the time, the fear when you're an author doesn't go away. I still get scared writing today. I have 5 books. I still get scared writing today. So
wow.
don't let that fear scare you from writing. Like, hold it in you, hold it, and then put it into the work, you know. Or if you're not putting it into the work, write through the fear anyway, because we need more stories, not less. We need more people telling stories of of their life, or of creative stories, or imaginative stories, or new worlds. We need more stories because we're getting combated like with all this other stuff, you know, with all this other content. So I think it's really important for us to really take our times and tell stories that matter to us and that come from our heart and come from our minds, and that are just imagination put onto the page, you know?
Yeah, I really like that. Made me think of Albert Einstein. Somewhere there's a quote that the future lies in your imagination or something like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Coming from my background, my pedigree as a CEO business person, and then I started my platform 10 years ago. And, you know, we always were under high pressure in our jobs. And, you know, a lot of business people read only nonfiction. And I started picking up fiction books like yours, and I escape in it. And
Yeah.
so thank you. I think the world needs more stories. Absolutely. Made me also realize about my ancestral heritage. My
Mm.
parents are from Fiji, my grandparents from India. Wouldn't you agree that sometimes storytelling is how we pass down cultural generation?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. You know, like I think the reason that books still to this day are so significant, and I'll take it a step further, the reason that I think physical books are still so significant in today's culture, where everything is digitized, like literally everything is
Yeah,
digitized, physical books are still the number one form of book selling, right, is because there's just something very irreplaceable about these deep stories, these long form stories, these like epic poems, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's something in it that is natural, that is kind of lodged in our DNA. And I think that when you look at, when you put a historical lens on it, the storytelling is really how we how we exist. You know, like we tell stories to create. We tell stories to actually to live day to day, to like to get things done day
yeah,
to day, to exchange, to trade. Like we tell stories for everything. We tell everything in the world that is right now is a story, you know. And I think that we for whatever reason, which I don't know still, we just have this very, humans I mean, have this very natural inclination, and we're just drawn to storytelling. And when you examine them culturally, that's literally how you get to know about that specific group of people, that
yeah,
community, is through that cultural lens, which is, I think, important to protect. I know there's a you know, that we do as humans share an experience, right? We're all humans, that's an experience that we should
yeah,
share. But I think it's important to protect cultural, like the difference in culture,
sure.
and that should not be lost. I don't think people should be losing their culture just because they want to like share a human experience. I think keeping the culture separate is actually really important, and the best way to do that is through storytelling.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. The story arcs, you know, in some of the movies I watched, they've got, you know, protagonist, antagonist, some enmity, something that danger, and then release. And so you're kind of on this roller coaster. And that's what I liked about your book. I'm going to hold it up again here. And then there was us. It took me through. That's what I love about it, because I was engaged in it from the beginning. So well done. Writing about a teenager who chooses not to attend her mother's funeral. It's a bold narrative choice. What made you trust that readers would stay with Coy through that decision?
That was a tough one. I did right after we did my publisher did this thing where we got a whole bunch of readers to read the book in a week, and they'd post the stories on social. And people, there are three things people are like, oh my gosh. First, the grandmother lady, people were just like, they hated her. um but the other thing is what you're talking about. Like, she didn't go to the funeral. How could she not go to the funeral? I'm like, man, the Coy is angry. Koi is angry. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
mm,
She is angry. Her relationship with her mother was not good. She was abused by her mother. You know, and if you read the story and read some of the ways she was abused, it is like
yeah,
violent.
yeah,
So she did not have a good relationship with her mother. So for her, she never, and then she went 5 years without even speaking to her, 4 or so years without speaking to her. So she she is angry. You have to, I think it's really important to state that. And when you catch her at the beginning of the story, when, you know, before, like right when her mom dies, or before her mom dies, she's still angry. So her thing is, for the entire story, or most of the story, is, why should my anger change now? Why should I forgive this lady just because she passed away? why should I forgive her? You know what I mean? So when her mom actually does die, she's like, she there's parts of her that feel bad, but she's not going to go to the funeral.
Yeah.
You know, that's my long way of answering your question, to say that I was it's actually it's a it's a it's a literary choice. Like I'm staying true to the character. You know, Coy, like it was uncomfortable writing that, because I was like, man, this is like, Coy, are you sure? Like, I'm talking to myself as I'm writing it, like, are you sure? But Coy, I think Coy would absolutely do that. She wouldn't go to the funeral. So I wrote it like that.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's truth. And it also triggers in others, because there's people out there who have gone through or will go through the same experience. Somebody who hurt you deeply, and there's a funeral, and you got to cross that chasm, right? Do I go? Just going to put another camera on screen here so you can see inside the studio here. I've got some research notes. I drew a little diagram on my paper. Just a flow chart. I put Lady, Chrissy, Coy. And so I want to just honor you and say a few things about what I think thematic depth. That's one of the great parts of this book. So there's forgiveness and reconciliation. There's intergenerational trauma. There's creative expression as healing. I mean, it's just incredible how you've brought those themes into this. I'll give it back to you in a minute to talk about it. But why this is so important when you talk about that is it got me very emotional and triggered in me a live experience I had. I want to share this for context, and then let you take it back and comment. That my dad passed away in January 2018, unexpectedly from a heart attack. He lived on his own. My father left home when I was 12, as I mentioned, so I won't get into all the deep details. You know, my book has the first chapter called The Boy, which wasn't nice to read because it was about my dad's alcoholism, and he destroyed the family, and he was violent. I took most of the physical and mental abuse from my dad. My two brothers were a bit different. And so something happened. My dad left home. I grew up. I went and became a CEO in business. I overachieved, chasing significance instead of self-worth, and came full circle. And I had a calling to go see my dad for a cup of coffee just in 2017. For some reason, God spoke in my life, and because I'm a prayer-based man, and I went. And we hadn't seen each other. And there was this moment where my dad said, "How are you, son?" And then he said, "I love you. And I'm sorry for everything I did to you." And this weight just fell off me. And we agreed after about 45 minutes, it got too heavy for me to keep talking to him. So we agreed we'd meet again for coffee starting a couple months later. And then he died, never had that coffee. But here's the thing. When he died, my two brothers and I, we had turmoil because my two brothers were still extremely angry with my dad. They hadn't crossed that. So there's all of this, but it crossed my mind, do I go to the funeral or not? I didn't want to. I ended up actually going and doing the eulogy, which was incredibly hard. But I can just honor what this book did for me when I read it, that I had to make that horrible choice. But I'm talking to you about it. And if we talk about it, we write about it, dude, that's what you said. It's part of healing. It's taking the trauma, getting angry, processing it. And so I love the fact that you wrote about it. And I know people will see this. So anything you want to comment on that before we move forward on this?
God, no, you nailed it. You nailed it. You got that moment before your dad passed to get that weight taken off, so you were able to go. I think if we're relating that to the story and then to people in general, some people don't have that opportunity. They never got that.
Yeah.
Coy never had that opportunity. Your mom just passed like really suddenly. So she was still angry. She was still like your two brothers, right? Like still just really, really upset. So I totally get that, man. I totally get that. That must have been a really difficult thing for you to do.
It was. And you know what the craziest thing was? I'll be quick on this. I had to create a PowerPoint for the celebration we did. And I couldn't find pictures for 20 years. It was just bizarre.
Oh my God.
And it hit me. They reminded me that from age 12 till pretty much when he died, our family was not together. My parents divorced, all that. So treasure the moments. Let's get into Mezzo. Are you having fun in Plato's Garden?
Oh, yes. This is amazing. I love this. I love this. I wish everyone did this.
Okay. That's awesome. I appreciate that comment. Let me just full screen or give a different view there. So there's a very cool poster or something in the back. Describe what that is.
Oh, that is two things happening. One is my second self-published novel is called Beauty Scars. So that's what you're seeing in the back. That one,
Wow.
I love that book cover because I did a book cover contest with two high schools. So what you're seeing there is a winner of the contest who is a 16-year-old girl did
Wow.
that book cover. That is my favorite, one of my favorite book covers. It's incredible. And then the book cover friend, then there was us is also back there. So
Yeah.
yeah, just
No, it's
inspiration, you know.
yeah. I'm gonna put that on the list, I think. Okay, let's get into Mezzo. So remember, I said the influences of context of your work. This is like the sector, the area where you do your work. Okay, for some they may say, okay, he's an author, so you're teaching, so it could be you're in the education system, or he goes out and he's public speaking, so it could be entertainment, or he coaches people and uses his work. So anything that in the sector around you that influenced you. So here we go. And then there was us, deals with some of the heaviest themes in YA literature, trauma, family abuse, death, as we know. How do you navigate writing authentically about pain without exploiting it?
You know, all in most of the books I've written, my characters are younger, right?
Yeah.
They're late teenage years or so. And for me, I told you I was a teenage parent, and from that time in my life was the most traumatic time in my life as well. It was joyful in a lot of ways, but it was also the most traumatic time of my life. I dropped out of high school. I lost all my basketball scholarships for a year.
Oh, wow.
My family was not speaking to me for a long time. I was living in a like 400 square foot. I don't even want to call it a basement. It was like anyway, one room situation. Um, it was horrible. You know, I had very little money. I was working at a grocery store, and then I was working at an electronics store, making back then like $8 an hour. So that those moments for me are are clear in my mind. I could close my eyes and feel the emotion, like the precise emotions I felt during that time, you know?
Yeah.
So when I'm writing about this trauma and these characters, I'm not guessing at their emotion. I know it. I felt it. You know, this is me um, taking my ability and my skill of storytelling and channeling that through my emotions, or channeling my emotions through
Yeah.
that vehicle. So this is all the emotions that my characters feel are emotions that I felt. So for me, it's not exploitation; it's catharsis. You know, it's something much different than that.
Totally. Wow. See, every time you talk, man, there's stuff coming out of you that I've never heard before. And not everybody will tell the story. I mean, geez, dropping out of high school. Okay, there's many who have, but losing scholarships for basketball, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then, the deeper side of that people may want to dig into is, okay, that's cool. What was the seed that made you go and do this? Write books and stuff. I'm a foodie and I like to cook. I'm a home chef. I've watched every cooking show. And there's a guy out there, Gordon Ramsay, who you might have heard.
Mhm.
And he was like a pro soccer player, or almost pro, I think.
Really? I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
that.
If you do his story, and dude, he like Kern, he had a debilitating injury, and it kicked him out of the sport.
Oh,
And so I always think about the hero's journey narrative by Joe Campbell, that when pain gets bad enough and you say, I don't want the pain, I'm going to do something with it. What makes you do this? And with him, it was cooking. And so I still haven't figured out that. But for you, it was this. You could have gone back into basketball. So why this? The burning
so
desire to do this.
yeah, no, that's a good question. For me though, this was always the desire. I knew at 8 years old I was going to be an author. I wrote my first book
Really?
at 8. Yeah,
Oh,
like
wow.
this is me sitting here right now. Is me living in
Amazing.
the dream of an 8-year-old boy. So I always knew it was. What became difficult was, um, getting there. You know, getting to the point where I'm actually going to start writing novels, because I was writing my whole life. I was writing little short stories,
Yeah.
poetry, everything. Right, I was writing, but I wasn't. This was early 2000s and stuff, late 90s. So I wasn't publishing things. I was just like writing for myself. And then when after I dropped out of high school, when I had my daughter, I stayed in Toronto for a year. So I saw her birth, saw the first year of her life.
Nice.
But then I was like, man, like because I was a really good basketball player, I'm like, I don't want this to be my life. I was working at the grocery store. I wasn't making any money. We were struggling. And I knew I knew there was so much more inside of me. So I went back to night school, got my final credits. I have to admit, sometimes a little bit of luck is necessary. My cousin, so back, you have to remember, this is back in the early 2000s. So my cousin put together a highlight tape for me. Like, and this is without me knowing. I didn't know this. I found this out after. He put together a highlight tape for me. So that means he had to get all the VHSs from my mom and put it into a highlight tape, right? If you know what I'm talking
Oh
about.
yeah. Oh gosh.
So that was a lot of work, and he sent it out to some schools, right? So after he did that, 2 schools responded back. One of them flew to Toronto to watch me practice, just like they put me through some drills.
Yeah.
And they ended up offering me a scholarship, and I took it. So
Really?
I was able to go to university on a full scholarship. I wouldn't have been able to go to university without that. And it's a university where I started meeting people who also love literature as much as I love literature, and would talk about it at parties and talk about it in class and talk about it in the hallways. It's very hard to even explain how good it felt, right? As soon as I graduated university, I started writing my first novel because I knew what I got injured playing basketball, so my basketball career wasn't
What if you mind me asking, what was it? Was it a leg injury?
My groin.
Oh dear.
I tore my groin. Yeah. So I knew, but even before then, I knew that novel writing was the thing I wanted to do. So once that happened, I was down for a little while because I did love basketball. But as soon as I got back to Toronto, I was like, all right, let's get on this journey. And I started writing Thoughts of a Fractured Soul.
That is amazing. There's a movie in there and a book. Dude, if I was your agent, I'd be making a movie. That, like, I'm visual, right? So my mind's going everywhere. Come back, everyone.
You're seeing it.
Everyone, come back and watch this part of the interview. Is fantastic. That is fantastic. That part about the real. Again, I said every time you say something, it evokes things in me. I was born in the UK. My dad was in the British Army. He was stationed there. So I was on a military base. But he used to take these little videos and reel-to-reel tapes of us. And there's some that I have where I have this thick English accent, right? So brown kind of guy with a thick English accent. And there's other ones from Malaysia and Singapore as we traveled here throughout life that are sitting in those VHSs, and there's some gifts in them too. I'm a bit, I'm not philosophical totally, but I believe in God, and I don't make religion part of my show. I was baptized Catholic by my mom. My dad was a Hindu, but I believe that we're kicked out of a path that we shouldn't be on, whether you believe in a higher force or not. So this thing about your injury, I'm really sorry it must have been devastating to have that. But I've gone through this in my life. I had my brain injury that you know about in 2018, fell on my head. And throughout the last 5 years, I've had to really think, am I on the right path? I do a lot of nature walks. And there's been times in my life, Kern, when I've had high level leadership roles where I've lost a job, I've been downsized. And I've been really angry, but when I've come through and looked back at it, I've said that wasn't where I belonged. So that's a part of your story that I think will inspire so many. You always knew from age 8 that you wanted to write. I'm so impressed with how you went to university, got scholarship, and found your way, man. It's awesome. Let's get back into Plato's. The book shows, in my opinion, different types of family: blood family that fails, chosen family that heals. What are you hoping to tell young readers about where they can find real belonging?
Yeah, that I'm so happy that you actually recognize that, because family is like at the core of this book as far as one of the themes.
Yeah.
And there's a line Koi says that is, honestly, I thought about taking it out because it felt, but if I took it out, it was only because it felt hurtful to me. Not because it didn't do the story justice. But Koi at the end says, "Dad, we were never really a family anyway." And that, even thinking about it now, feels actually really emotional for me to think about. But my point in what I want to do was I want to challenge family, what family is, which is, people have done that before, right? There, blended families, etc., etc. But the reason I kept that line and I put that line is because I also wanted people to see that sometimes as parents, as adults, we have one impression of our children's experience, and they have a totally different impression of that experience, and we could do everything right, we could still make mistakes, it doesn't matter. Their impression is their impression, they're living their lives, and some you're hoping that the experience that you're creating for them is something like overwhelmingly positive, but sometimes that's just not the case, and whether Koi was right or wrong in saying that is it's a little bit besides the point. It's what she felt, she wasn't saying it to be mean, she was saying it because that's what she felt, because she she that situation with her mother being totally abusive, where was her father for her then her mom, her father takes her away from her mom, gets full custody, and now they've formed this bubble, they call it, for themselves, where they get to live. But now she's almost fortified from her other family members. She hasn't spoken, she barely talks to the aunt, she blah blah blah, like the grandmother, she doesn't talk to those people anymore, so it's just her and her father. So for Koi, she's always like, well, what kind of family is this? There's me and you, Dad, but what, like, and I know that there's something in there, like it only takes two to have a family.
Yeah.
But for her impression is different than his, because she's like, I went through all of that. So like, what have we created? You know what I'm trying to say? So I really love that you said that, because I want to push the notion of family and belonging, because to your point, you said the right word. If you're not creating a space where the belonging is open and welcoming, then you have to really think about what kind of family you're actually raising, and what kind of family you're creating, so that's I really wanted to challenge. I'm very happy that you brought that part up. So there's no answer to that. It's a difficult question, and the answer is what I just said. It's just it's up for interpretation. Like it's food for thought. It's food for thought.
Hold the book up again.
Oh, I got you.
There it is, everybody. I highly recommend it. Grab it. And we'll talk about reviews, why they're important later. This thing about the family, I just want to riff on this with you, if that's all right, for a minute. That it's such a deep topic for me. So I obviously told you my story. Grew up kind of with a family that was destroyed through alcoholism. Didn't really have. Also because of the color of my skin, and I'm not going to get into excuses, but I was called names, Hindu, ragged, picked on at school. I was a little heavy set with my weight. So I felt from a young age, and I didn't realize the significance till later in life, that I didn't fit in, I didn't belong. And one of the things that used to drive me crazy in school is I grew up in a pretty middle-class neighborhood, because my dad was an electrician, but he became teacher, was able to afford to put us in a good neighborhood while he was there. And I was around all these rich kids, or kids had everything. And when I got married in present life to my wife, which is going on 30 years next year, and is from Italy, born outside of Rome. She's amazing. Hope you meet her one day. Her family, when I first met her, is they have dinner every weekend. They sit around the table, the Italian table, right? Drinking wine, food. They're arguing, they're talking, they're banging each other, and then they're loving each other. And I never remembered anything that resembled my brain as a child, because it's forming those neuronal pathways, didn't have a picture of family. And so in today's world, I'm almost finished here riffing. In today's world, we have social media, which wasn't there when I was a kid. So now you see all this crap that's out there, sitcoms, he's sleeping with her, and the father's doing this with the child and beating her up, and incest. And we lose sight of what the traditional, family looks like. Your character you created, I thought about this, and then I'll ask you to comment. You come from a big family, as you said, and obviously I think your influences from your parents or your family, somehow you turned out pretty good, because they instilled in you the importance of family. Do you think if you didn't have that, if you grew up as a child like me, you would be able to write this way? Not knowing what family, not having experienced what family really is, or not?
No,
No,
I don't think so. I think my family informed my experiences so much that it would be. I mean, I would be able to write, but I wouldn't be able to write like this. You know what I mean? Like it would change what I wrote about. So I don't think I would, to be honest. That's a really good question. I think it's that integral to
Yeah,
to who you
it is.
are. And if you're a creative person, then you're going to start like putting things out. Then it becomes integral to your creative process, or at least your creative output.
Yeah,
So yeah, that good.
very
No,
cool. So I just honored you with that story of mine, because what you did is you proved again to me why this book matters. Because there's children out there like me who are adults now too, are seeking and confused about what is family.
mm-hmm.
And I still today don't have a close relationship with my siblings. And I
Mm,
see others who do, and I think there's something wrong with me. But the truth is, there isn't. I found connections to people I met through industry, through business, mentors who became father figures.
mm,
Wow. Way to go. Powerful stuff. All right, let's get into macro. This is the last part. Macro being the world around you, right? So,
yeah,
you might hear people say, well, my father grew up in the Great Depression.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
lived in a house where there was no money, and you had an orange, and that was your toy to play with for a day. So, so maybe that's shaped your belief system, right? So, anyways, the Great Depression is an example. Growing up through war times, etc.
Yeah.
Growing up through times. So the book explores intergenerational trauma. Ladies, and you can comment on the characters because people haven't read it. Who's Lady? Lady's harsh parenting, creating Chrissy's dysfunction, creating Coy's pain.
Mm.
What do you hope readers understand about breaking those cycles?
First of all, have some grace. So Lady's a grandmother in the story. She's Chrissy's mom, so she's Koi's grandmother.
Yeah,
Um, and Lady is a very harsh, seemingly unemotional character. She's upset at Koi for what she perceives as Koi like leaving the family and not staying in
yeah,
contact and whatnot. So she stays like she makes some harsh decisions as throughout the story. And then when you know about Chrissy, so when Koi and Chrissy are having these conversations, so Koi and her mother, when they're having these conversations, and you see the harshness of Chrissy, you recognize where that's coming from, right? Like that's the intergenerational thing that you're talking about. What I would hope that people see through when they read this story is to please give your parents and your grandparents and whoever a little bit of grace, because the just like we just had this conversation, your experiences are shaped a lot by your childhood. Your experiences are shaped a lot by survival, right? And the the experience that Lady had was an experience where she was forced to survive and do whatever she needed to do to survive. So the way she interpreted that or internalized that was to be harsh. She had to be hard. She had to be stoic. You know what I'm saying? Like that, she couldn't
yeah,
show too much emotion. That was a survival tactic. And if I pull away from the story, just talk about real life and talk about immigrant parents who come from another country. They're like my mom's. My mom's goal was like, I just need to like get my kids here, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
get them here so that they could get into a better situation. So the things that we wanted as children, sometimes we may not have gotten, but we gotten everything that we needed, you
yeah,
know. And I
yeah,
think now it's my job to make sure that my daughter has some of this everything that she needs, but also some of the thing that she wants. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? So I think sometimes we could be very harsh in judging our parents, and their beliefs, or judging our grandparents and their beliefs, especially in this time as we start evolving as humans. But I think take a step back and think about their situation. I'm not saying excuse anything. I'm saying think about it,
yeah,
and think about the situation that they're coming from. And really, I think you'll 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 find at least understanding. You might not find forgiveness, you might not find even acceptance or anything, but I think at least you'll find understanding. And if you could at least find understanding, then there's a bridge that you could actually get back on to bonding and communication and love. Because I think I really do believe that the family foundation is really, really, really valuable. And we, unfortunately, I feel like if you just take a general snapshot of culture, like I think we diminish family a little bit. We say it's not, it's you could do this on your own. Get out of your house when you're 18. Blah blah. Like you know what I'm saying. Like I think if we are able to champion strong families, however those families are put together, just having strong families be the foundation for how people, young people, people in general function, are raised, communicate, behave. If we're able to do that, I think it changes the world. But
Totally.
it's a tough ask, but I don't think it's an impossible ask. I think it's something that could happen actually rather quickly if we, again, we just have to get out of this narrative that we're in today, where it feels like families are a little bit I don't know. I don't even know the word, Tom, man. It's like people just like they dismiss families a little bit too, like the importance of families, I think, a
Yeah.
little bit too easily.
Yeah, I understand, and I see that too. There's just riffing on this point about family and children. There's this research I found through for American University, and it's I can give you a link later if you may know about it. It's called the Circle of Security, and it's well documented in a what do you call a scholarly paper. These researchers, and it's really cool. It's a diagram. It's a circle of what a child needs as they're young, growing, nurturing, right? Needs to have somebody there to come back to, needs to have somebody who embraces their creative expression, needs love. And what was really cool is I started using this. I actually have it somewhere in my other room, and I blew it up into a big thing like this, poster, and I take it out when I do speaking about children, because I'm an advocate for children and mental health as well. And I'll put that up and I'll say, and people will look at it. And when I look at it, I go, had that, didn't have that, didn't have that, didn't have that, didn't have that.
Yeah.
And so that's what, to me, family is that whatever I can have in my growing years up to probably age 25, which is when I think science says the brain becomes adult, I want to be able to have those things. And if my dad gets killed in the war, okay, I've lost dad. But if I can have somehow somebody else, like Kern becomes a friend and he fills that part, this is what a child's brain needs to be able to apparently function well, managing stress, having relationships. So you brought that out of me. And the last part about family is, maybe you, man, your next book, maybe you'll write the next definition of what family is.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. I'm gonna hold you accountable to that.
Hold me to that one. Hold me to that one.
I'll read that book. All right, let's keep going. How you doing? I got a few more here. Then we're.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, I could do this all day with you. By the way, have you ever done author readings? Gone into bookstores? Done any readings? Yeah,
sure, lots.
Putting you on the spot, but in a few minutes, would you open your book and read a couple pages to us?
Yeah, for sure.
I'll tell you why I want to do that with you. I didn't set it up, but I'll give you a moment to find that in a minute. What I'll do is full screen you, and then we can, when you get this tape, you can repurpose that for your own use, right?
Yes,
so let's come back to that in a minute, but I want to just keep going here with one more question in the macro, the global. Let's see here. Family traditions like Lady's Necklace carry both connection and a burden. How do you help young readers think about what family legacy they want to carry forward versus leave behind?
Yeah, really good one. You've honestly asked me questions today that I've never received. I love it. No, seriously, I really appreciate that. I really do. They're really thoughtful questions.
You're welcome.
I think if I'm thinking about Koi, if I'm thinking about the story very specifically, I would say don't let anyone influence that question that you asked me, that decision that you have to make. What you want to carry and what you want to leave behind should be up to you, like, because you had the experience. So if Koi, everyone is telling Koi, you basically need to forgive your mom. She wasn't that bad. She did this, blah, blah, blah. And Koi's like, nope. No, I'm not going to the funeral. No, I'm not. No. Right? Like she not until she herself felt like, okay, wait. And that took, connecting with her sister, who's her half sister, but whatever, connecting with her sister and, going through and moving out on her own and doing all those things. It took activities for that to happen. But once she made that decision, I think that's what gave her the ability to actually even open her mind to forgiveness. So I would say don't No one can make that decision for you. You have to choose what's important to leave behind and what to carry with you. And you have to choose how long you want to carry those things, because some of those things could be positive. Some of those things that we spoke about very early in this conversation could be negative, right? And we know trauma lives with you. It lives inside of you. So
Yeah.
you make that decision, but make the decision. Don't let someone else make it for you. And including the trauma, because I told you trauma is a thing. Trauma is essentially a person. Don't
Yeah.
let the trauma make the decision for you either. So
Yeah.
you need to make the decision for yourself, regardless of everyone else or
For
anything
sure.
else.
Yeah, I'm just madly making notes here on my paper in the studio. Just I got a page of page of kernisms. Actually, no,
I like that one.
you know what? We'll call them kernels. I got a bunch of kernels.
Yes.
You like that?
I like that.
I'll own that one, but I'll give it to you. You can use it.
You can lend me that one for a bit. I'll use that.
Put in your book a page of
Oh,
kernels.
that would be so cool. It's like a
Wouldn't it be cool?
like a thing I do on social.
Yeah.
Like, here's a kernel for today.
Hey, you know what? Go for it. I'm going to look for it. You know, in books they have like bibliography, or they have like a glossary of terms.
Yeah.
Or like acronyms. You could have a page in your book called kernels.
Kernels. Oh my gosh, I love that.
I want a royalty, by the way.
I'll give you a piece of. You came up with that one. I got to give you a piece of that one.
Too funny. I just want to riff on this last comment you made for everybody here. Go back and listen to that answer Kern gave about what the decision is yours to forgive. Trauma is a thing. Don't let it make the decision. In the world of psychotherapy, because I've been through a lot of therapy with my concussion recovery and studied this in my doctorate, that there's actually a process of healing, right? So you actually have to face the pain. You have to see it, face it, get the memories, and getting angry is the first step, and then then acceptance, and then you can move to forgiveness. So I think that's a very key point that you reminded me of, Kern, is that if I don't get angry, like if I don't find out about all the shit my dad did, right? My dad did some pretty bad stuff, like drinking, driving, almost killing somebody with his car, and losing his job, and beating up on the family a lot. I blocked all that, but the pathway for me to heal was to face that. But here's the thing you put on me, and it's such a great thing. I want to honor it. And it came up somewhere in this interview that I had to sit down and find out why my dad was like he was. This is really important. I share this with you too. You can maybe comment. When I'm a child, my brain can't rationally think. The frontal lobe's not in use. I can't connect to all the parts of my head. So it's just like, you say I'm fat, okay, I'm fat. You say I'm stupid, I'm stupid. You say bad men don't have anything to do with him because he did this. You develop these rules. If somebody hurts you, if there's somebody's bad, you don't have anything to do with them. You just leave them out of your life. You don't see them again because they're bad. Later in life, when I get the rational brain use, I start saying, wait a minute. Kern once did something bad, but I thought about it, and I thought about the 9 other things he did good. And so I don't think I need to cut him out of my life. He can be there. So bad man sometimes, but I need to understand this. And he's not really as bad. How I came to forgiveness with my dad is this. I sat down with him at that coffee I told you about, and I just asked him, tell me about grandfather. And he told me about his dad, who was an alcoholic. I started realizing then about the environment he grew up in. He told me that he told me he was pushed off a bridge in Fiji. That's how he learned to swim.
What?
And then he got into the army. The British Army actually was one of the first 212 soldiers the Queen chose from Fiji. Well, the officers mess and drinking, and I'll kick your ass if you don't do this. The authority that comes with the military, you got to do. They mistreat you sometimes. Okay. So when I found out his dad, my grandfather was an alcoholic and died from that. But what I found out through the last year, only April, is I found my great grandfather came from India at age 17 to Fiji to work on plantations as an indentured laborer. He was part of a slavery system that the world covered up. There were actually people sent to Guyana and other parts through this system. It was for about 25 years. Here's my great-grandfather being treated as an indentured laborer. It was brutal. But then he overcame it and had a candy store, looked after 20 families, gave birth to his dad and then my dad. But the trauma, when I started looking at those stories, Kern, and facing it, all the trauma that passed down wasn't my dad's fault.
Hmm.
I think he was mentally ill too. He had a lot of anxiety and drank a lot to cover up, but he was mistreated, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what allowed me to forgive him. And I want to tell you that I love what you said about forgiveness as a choice. Forgiveness for me isn't forgiving the beatings or the things he did to us or me. It was forgiving him to set him free so
Yeah.
that he can then heal and know his son always loved him. I didn't like his behavior, but I always loved my dad. And I say
Yeah.
that today, right? People say, how could you like a man like that? So I didn't like him. I loved him. He was my dad. Because there were times after I processed all this crap when I found a lot of good in him. But I could
Yeah.
only find it when I could get rid of the crap. So any comment on that? And then we'll move to
Oh, that's amazing. No, I actually want to leave that there. I think that was really moving. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
okay, so let's get into reading with Kern. So we're gonna, when you're ready, tell me. I'm gonna set it up. We're gonna give you about a
Yes.
minute or two.
Give me a quick
Yeah.
minute to find where I want to read.
And to the
How are you
audience,
with
I'm
swearing
holding up.
on this audience? How on this show? Is swearing okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
This is my platform. So I'm holding the book up while he's looking. Everyone, and then there was Us, a beautiful book, and we're gonna talk about a review on that in a moment. But we're going to join Kern Carter. I want you to imagine that you are walking into his bookstore reading, or you're listening at night to him while you're going to sleep, and he's going to read as a part of his book.
Give me a second. I just don't remember the exact page. If not, I'll just start from the beginning. Give me 30
That's all
more
right.
seconds.
Any of your books in audio format yet?
This one, just this
Good.
one. This was the only one in audio format.
So I gotta get that.
You gotta get it.
If you, by the way, to the audience, if you read some author's book and put the audio on at the same time, it blows your mind, the experience.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Okay, so Kern, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to full screen you. Then I'm going to say three. I'll set it up in 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
When you're finished, I'll see that and I'll come back on the screen. Okay.
Okay.
And so you want to be looking, read it, look down, whatever you want. Your audience will see it. So let me just full screen. So stand by, everybody. What would it be like to hear Kern Carter, author, reading from his book? Kern Carter.
This hallway feels like the Green Mile right now, except I'm not walking to my own death. Actually, I hope I'm not walking to anyone's death, but that's the thought that kept my legs shaking and why I didn't want to be walking down this hallway in the first place. Outside of my mom's room, I can peek in through the glass and see her face. 2 long braids are dangling over her jaw, but not enough to hide the swelling and bruises. It looks like most of her other braids have been cut off. I cover my mouth to stop myself from screaming and crouch to the floor. Long, deep breaths. I wish my dad was here. This is too much. I need to stop trying to convince myself that I can handle this. Maybe I really can't. I can walk back to the waiting area right now and tell everyone that I sat with my mom. They wouldn't know the difference. I should do it. Just walk away. Walk away before this panic attack goes full blast and I'm the one lying down in one of these rooms. Long, deep breaths, Koi. Stand your ass up. As soon as I catch my breath, I push open the door and step inside. I take a few more inhales and get closer, close enough to shift the 2 braids away from my mom's chin so I can see her whole face. Even through the swelling, I can see the person who made me, the same person who pushed me away. My own braids are wrapped loosely in a top bun. There's a metal chair with a green seat beside the bed, but I'd rather stand. There's way too much going on inside me right now to sit down. Too much I'd want to say, too much I'd let myself think about. And I don't want to think right now because there won't be anything that will make me feel better about standing here. And the only thing that should matter right now is my mother fighting for her life. Even that thought sounds false. Fights are supposed to be violent. They're supposed to be loud and aggressive. All adjectives that describe my mother perfectly. Maybe that thought isn't false after all. If anyone is used to fighting, it's a person lying in this bed with a sheet covering half of her body. Can you hear me? I whisper those words like we're not the only ones in the room. Can you really hear me? The beeps from the heart monitor sound like warnings, like when those big dump trucks are reversing and don't want anyone or anything in their way. My mom is that dump truck, except she doesn't send out any warning when she's ready to go off. The first time she called me a bitch, I was only 4 years old. We were at the McDonald's drive-thru and she ordered me nuggets and fries, but I wanted ice cream too. Don't be a greedy bitch. Take what you get and be happy. I was so young I couldn't even talk back. I'm not even sure I knew what bitch meant, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. It was still just one of those words I'd heard repeated in the living room when my mom had her friends over. Why am I even thinking about this? That's why I didn't want to come here. Why I don't want to sit down. I don't feel what Auntie feels when she looks at my mom. My heart doesn't move like days when he and my mom are together. The only thing that moves in my mind is the only thing that moves is my mind, and it's moving backward, back to the past, our past, my mother and me, and that past is what led to close to 5 years of separation.
Okay, let me come back on the screen there. Whew. Man, I just closed my eyes and listened to you. That little cool accent that you have from the homeland, that just takes it up a notch for me. I applaud you, dude.
Thank you.
Doing this on camera, too, for some people can be unnerving. What a wonderful job. So here we are with Kern Carter, author of multiple books, and he's just read from, and then there was Us, the audiobook's out, if this book just dropped a while ago, so you can check it out. Hey, Kern, I have one question that came to mind as you're reading, and it's not on my paper. That is, I'm not even sure if it's a fair question and one you can answer. Without getting into too much personal detail, is your daughter's mom still alive today?
Yeah, she's still alive.
Okay.
Yeah, she's still alive for sure.
So
I took a lot of liberty with that part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good. So without getting into it, and I raised 2 stepchildren, and it was hard because the parents split and wasn't as positive for the kids. And one of the things I learned is that when parents have a triangle, they call triangulation, where one parent, when the kids are with this parent, they'll attack the other parent or not. So you can't have that, especially for young developing minds where they develop these resentments. How did you forgive, if that's appropriate word, or move on from your daughter's mom so that you could be the best parent for your daughter? What did you have to go through?
Wow. Lots and lots of years of no, you know what, honestly, if I'm speaking frankly, what made me really actually genuinely forgive first, before I even got to forgiveness, when I got full custody of my daughter and we went a year and hadn't heard from her mom, I was still angry, but I realized right then I need to be stronger for my daughter. So I couldn't, the anger part of me had to put that aside for a second and be like, how am I going to make sure my daughter now, how am I going to feed into her even more than I already was to make sure she's okay? So I couldn't even get through that. The forgiveness came when I wrote a short story in 2020. This is when Substack first started. Substack started in about 2017, so it was just at the beginning of Substack. And I wrote a short story and I called it My Failures as a Father. And I put that story out, and each chapter was about a different person in my life. And the first chapter was about the mom, my daughter's mom. And it is only through writing that story that I saw the similarities from to my father, who's not in my life, me, and my daughter's mom.
Wow.
And when I saw those similarities, I was like, holy shit, look at me blaming her the whole time. You know what I mean? And I didn't take any culpability in it. I didn't realize, this seems very obvious now, but I promise you I didn't realize this till 2020. I didn't realize that when you know, you complimented me for being able to go drop out of high school, then getting my stuff together, having a bit of fortune with my cousin, and then getting my life together and going to university, getting the scholarship, etc. When I got that scholarship, that school was in New York. So I went away to New York. Now my daughter's mom was 18. So imagine being on your own without the only support, because I told you all our family dismissed us, and she already had no family. Her family already was disconnected. So imagine being on your own and not being able to chase your dream, not be able to be living in a comfortable life, not have the man who said that he loved you is there to support you, right? Imagine feeling like that. And then me not even acknowledging it. You know,
Wow.
like not even saying like, hey, I understand what you're going through, because I didn't even know, Tom. I didn't even realize this till 5 years ago. You
Wow.
know? So when I realized that, I was like, oh my gosh. You know what I mean? Like that, it changed a lot for me. So that closed the door for me. That closed the door
That
and
is
made me say,
amazing.
you know, like,
Dude, I wrote it down on my paper. We'll put it in the show notes, Substack, My Failures as a Father 2020. What a great piece. I think a lot of fathers will need to read that. That makes so much sense to me because it's kind of a parallel journey, what I had to go through my head about my own dad. Different
mm-hmm,
story, but the same kind of thinking. And it's funny, the brain can't have a positive and negative thought at the same time. So unless you look for the good in somebody,
true,
you get
true.
stuck. Oh, congratulations on that transition. Your daughter's blessed for that, having you as a dad. I'm so proud of you and
Thank
how
you.
you've come as a journey. But I'll be frank with you that there's a lot of children who don't have that. And we were asking like, what makes a child make the choice to forgive somebody who's hurt them? Well, part of it is the programming of the parent. The parent,
Yeah.
if the parent's always banging on the other parent saying they're a loser, the kid's going to get that in their head, right? So, all right. As we move to a couple acknowledgements for you, um, are you ready to be honored and surprised?
Sure. Let's see.
Okay, I'm gonna put this on the stage, and we're gonna reveal it for the first time on this show. It is a Amazon book review, and so I'm going to let you enjoy it. I'm just going to read it out loud to you. Okay, so I'm going to put it up there. I know you can't see it
Oh
because it's
wow,
small.
that's a review?
Yeah, so I'm gonna let you just relax and while I read to you. Okay, so I get to read to you. I'm not as fluent.
Okay.
I don't have the little accent there that you have. That the stud isn't in me. So just hold on. Let me just start this here. I'm revealing a 5-star international review of Canada based. It's being posted on Amazon. It's being accepted and it's live. So you can find it there. Kern, I sent you a link to it. And it's on the screen now, but for the audience listening, I'm going to read it out loud. Please enjoy. 5-star review, Unflinching and Healing, a must read for anyone who's ever struggled with family. Verified purchase. So I bought the book to show that it's a verified purchase because note to everybody else, if you post a review for an author, buy the book. Amazon takes it more seriously and it's credible. Here we go. I purchased this book after seeing the author's work and how he spoke about transforming pain into powerful storytelling. And then there was us. It delivered it in ways I wasn't prepared for. This isn't your typical YA novel about teenage problems. This is an unflinching look at what it means to love someone who has fundamentally failed you. And I related. Koi's story hit me like a freight train. An 18-year-old fashion design student forced to confront her feelings about her abusive mother's sudden death. She embodies the complexity that most books about family trauma avoid. Carter doesn't offer easy answers or quick fixes. Instead, he shows us how real healing happens, messily, in layers, through dreams and art, and the gradual rebuilding of trust. What impressed me most was how Carter handles the abuse storylines. He never exploits the trauma for shock value, but he also doesn't minimize the very real damage that Chrissy inflicted on her daughter. The scenes where Koi processes memories, particularly the devastating moment with the necklace and broom, are written with such careful precision that you feel the impact without feeling manipulated. The dream sequences with Koi talks to her deceased mother could have felt gimmicky, but Carter makes them psychologically authentic. These conversations become the space where real processing happens, where Koi can finally say things she never could in life. Koi's relationship with her sister Kayla provides the heart of the story, watching the sisters find their way back to each other after years of separation is both heartbreaking and hopeful. And Carter captures how family separation affects everyone differently, while showing that healing is possible when people choose to show up for each other. The fashion design elements aren't just career details, they're integral to Koi's healing journey. Her progression from creating alone to launching her first fashion show mirrors I saw her emotional growth beautifully. And this book trusts young readers to handle complexity without offering false comfort. No. It's honest about the fact that some families' damage can't be fully repaired while still providing genuine hope for moving forward. So if you ever struggled with complicated family relationships like me, felt the weight of intergenerational trauma, or wondered where forgiveness is possible without excusing harmful behavior, this book will speak to you. Carter's written something truly special here. Would I recommend this book? Absolutely, especially to anyone ready for honest storytelling about family trauma and healing. Congratulations, man.
Oh man, thank you. Listening to that got me a little emotional. I'm not gonna lie. That's a
I
tough one to
love
listen
the
to.
emotion, and so we're going to
Thank
build
you.
you up. We're going to build you up to counter the emotion of tears with joy and give you an award. So let me put another camera on the screen here. Did you know you're getting an award today?
No, not at all.
Good. All right. Well, you deserve it. So when I started the show, I wanted to have an award to commemorate the 1% of people who come to the show. And as you know, I vet hard. I don't accept people unless
Yeah.
they have a deep story of pain that's become something of purpose. I created this. It's called a challenge coin. Have you ever seen challenge coins?
No, never. Oh, that's
Okay.
beautiful.
So before I explain what it is, they're handcrafted and painted. They're pretty hefty. In the front is the image of the show. There's a guy there, kind of looks a bit like me. The back is actually what the show is built on, which you know about, which is the hero journey narrative by Joseph Campbell. And it's fully outlined here, the journey.
Oh, that's incredible, Tom. Seriously.
So let me read you the origin, since you haven't heard these, and others will probably appreciate this. The history, it comes with this little sleeve. Challenge coins surfaced during the World War I era, Kern. The practice of carrying a coin designed specifically for a unit was popular with the Army Special Forces. Carrying the coin at all times and presenting it when challenged to prove affiliation with that unit resulted in a number of consequences for those who could not produce a coin. The most popular one, and it still happens today, required the coinless soldier to buy a round of drinks. And that practice continues to be popular. And you'll run up against challenge coins, first responders, organizations that are these communities have them. Even in AA, where my dad spent 22 years, they had their version of a coin. So we're going to induct you into the Quiet Warrior community with 4 words.
Oh, wow.
These are leadership words I've written on my paper here. I'll call them kernels of you.
Yes.
They're not scripted, but they're 4 words that I want to honor you with that came to my mind as you spoke to us. Teacher, you're a teacher. 2 is passion. You are passion. You're an authority, and you're a storyteller. So welcome to the Quiet Warrior community, Kurt.
Oh, thank you so much. I am honored and grateful. I love it. Thank you.
Okay. As you and I are both, I'm sitting in a heat wave here and we're in sweatshops. I see you too. We're going to wrap with one last thing. You get the last word. After this, comment on this and then tell us where people can get a hold of you and your body work. So when someone discovers your work for the first time 20 years from now, what do you hope they understand about this moment in storytelling history?
That these stories needed to be told because the people needed to read them. Like I genuinely feel that the stories I'm telling are I know they're fiction, but these stories are as necessary as Atomic Habits. You know what I mean? Like it's not as practical as far as steps or guidelines, but if you read it, it's equally as impactful to your life. So I would say I hope that they read these stories and feel like they're necessary and feel like they're fulfilling some part of themselves when you're reading it, and they're finding themselves in these stories. And if they're not, they're experiencing other worlds in these stories.
Yeah.
So necessary is what I would say.
Beautifully said, man. This will be part of your legacy, this show, in a time capsule. So last comment, tell us where we can get a hold of you and your books or anything else you want people to know before we wrap up.
Yeah, kerncarter.com. My website will have everything. I'll have my books. I'll have my Substack and stuff like that. So kerncarter.com for sure, or just Google me, Kern Carter, and I should pop up. No, the last comment is actually for you, Tom. Like, I really appreciate the thoughtfulness of this interview. You know, like you really,
Thank you.
Clearly dug deep into the novel. You sharing your stories with your life, I thought was really incredible as well, and really added to the last hour or so that we've been speaking. So like, I just want to really commend you on that. I really felt very welcome. I felt challenged, which I love. I love to feel challenged at all times. And I felt like it was a very just thoughtful conversation, an important conversation. So thank you.
Well, I receive that praise, man, especially from a guy like you. You're an awesome man. I'm glad we're friends. We're connected for life as Quiet Warriors. So I say this to all my guests. I'll say it publicly. I'm here to carry your voice and support you in any way. Reach out, and we maybe collaborate one day. We're in the same country, which is rare for some of my guests. And we'll get that award out to you very soon. So let me say the final word to our audience here. So everybody, find that true passion like you're hearing here from Kern Carter, and live the life that you deserve and desire. And we'll see you all again on the Quiet Warrior Show. My name's Tom Dutta. Thank you, Kern, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca.
Offline here, so just going to end the stream. We're still being